Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi, hello everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffey D-Pad, and with me always is the amazing, the fantastic, the marvelous Mr. Mitch George. How's it going?
I am looking forward to talking about what I think might be the greatest season of Marvel television we have ever gotten.
Wow, you are really
I'm
hitting
high on this.
hitting the ground
Very
running.
high on this.
What's up, folks? Welcome to the new year. We're still doing the same
New Year,
dumb
same
old thing.
goofiness.
Oh yeah, nothing's changing here, but we are here today.
I mean, my beard continues to grow if you're watching us over on youtube.com/@D+Us.
I need someone to just montage the growth of the beard.
It's gotten big. It's bushy.
Of course, folks, we are talking today about What If Season 2, but before we get into any discussions, I have a rigmarole to go to. First off, thank you for listening to the show. This is our normal, I guess every other week kind of sort of show,
Yeah.
where we talk about normally movies, shows, anything related to Disney. If you enjoy our show, please go ahead and go find us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button, or rate us on podcast services. It really does help getting the show out to more people, which is kind of one of the goals for this next year. You can go check out our other shows. You can go check out our weekly show right now on Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Is it a fantastic, amazing, wonderful show, and am I very much in love with it? Well, you kind of got to listen to the podcast to see.
You don't have to listen to it. You see any of our socials anywhere, and like Percy Jackson is Griffin, half of Griffin's personality.
Yes,
the
yes.
other half is, bitching at me.
Yeah, well, your words, not mine. Yeah, go check out all our other stuff. We got plenty of stuff that we'll be making throughout the year, so go have fun with that. Yeah, we're talking today about What If Season 2. Normally, this would be the part of the show where I go through, here's all the stats, yada, yada, yada. We don't really have that for this because it was a TV show. But Season 2...
Well, also because it released over the holidays, piecemeal, one episode a day from the 21st to the 30th of December 2023, which was honestly a nice little holiday treat.
Yeah, I really like this release schedule, and I think that's kind of one of the big things I want to talk about before we actually talk about the actual, what if
Content.
show. The release schedule of this has been great. Disney has been, everyone really has been experimenting with different release schedules for their streaming shows.
Understandable, because we know that they're all, other than Netflix, they're all losing money basically at this point. No one has found a way to turn a profit in streaming yet.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how the streaming landscape changes and how much is invested in these platforms from an individual studio perspective going forward. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of years in streaming for sure.
Yeah, we have, obviously streaming has changed a lot over the last year. And a lot of setups have been set to change for, frankly, not great changes for consumers going forward. We'll be here for all of it, of course. We this is what we do a show about, so
Yep.
we're kind of stuck with it. But yeah, we're talking about What If Season 2. I want to give a quick shout out to the animation teams on this season, particularly Flying Bark Productions, Stellar Creative Lab, and SDFX Studios for absolutely killing it with this animation.
One of my biggest complaints with season one was the animation just felt off. It was hard to really put my finger on what felt odd about it, but it didn't feel
Right.
I don't know. It didn't move the way that I wanted it to. Season 2 takes it to another level. It's incredible. I'm so happy with how this turned out.
Yeah, I never really had any issues with the animation in Season 1. It was not my favorite. I still massively prefer 2D to 3D. But it is undeniable that they just... I don't know what they did for Season 2. Because, it simultaneously looks the same, but just is also significantly better. It might be just what they do with the episodes. Because it's a higher standard of quality over Season 1 in every way, shape, and form,
Yep.
I think. We talked about What If Season 1 episode by episode when that was coming out originally. And I think both of us were pretty down on it.
There were hits, there were misses, and it was very obvious what hit and what didn't when it came to that show. And I feel like apart from maybe a couple of episodes here, which we'll get to, one of which may or may not have been planned for season 1, and it shows.
That's not even
everything has
accurately stated
everything
episode.
has stepped up here.
Yeah, it's everything is so much better. The stories were leagues better. Even the one episode that was for season 1, I think, was better than the rest of season 1. Like, I
I'd say
really
it was
did.
comparable to some of like the high points in season 1.
I
At
guess the
least
only
for
exception for me
personally.
is zombies, but
Yeah.
yeah, like I really do think that they nailed it with every bit. We're gonna talk full spoilers from here on out, folks. So go watch the show. Come on back. They're 30-minute episodes. It's fairly easy to catch up here. Starting it off like right off the bat with Nebula, and then like the character
Dude.
Nebula and fucking like Yonrog, a character that like people forgot about, like this man existing. Also,
And they got Jude Law back, which I thought was cool. But it was basically just MCU Blade Runner in the best way. Like, it was just so stylish, a great way to kick off the season.
yeah, just like the first 3 episodes really just set the fucking tone for the rest of the show. Like you've got the Nebula Blade Runner episode. You've got what if the Avengers were like slightly earlier, so it's
1980s Avengers.
yeah, it's like T'Chaka, Bucky, Marvel, so good. And then you have Happy
Peggy
Hogan.
and Howard pulling the strings.
Yeah, and then you have Happy Hogan Saves Christmas, which is such a departure from everything else. It is purely just a wacky, weird, fun time.
It's Die Hard. It's MCU Die Hard in 30 minutes. Like, that's the thing that amazes me about a lot of these things is they told really, really good, interesting stories and did it in a 30-minute episode, which is kind of crazy to me.
They also brought in like one of the weirdest possible characters you could bring into Marvel stuff, which is
Yeah.
the Freak.
Didn't expect to see that.
Or didn't expect it to
twice.
be Happy. Yeah, twice. The Freak, particularly with Happy's mustache in 1602, is so
good.
funny to me. But it's like, it was just banger after banger after banger. I think we can agree, like, the Iron Man Grandmaster one was not the best this season, but I think it was still fun. It just... I still just
I
struggle to
understand why
like...
that was the episode that released on Christmas, because I do feel like there were probably less eyes on it that day, especially on social. I do feel like that is, for me at least, the low point of this season.
See, I would say the low point for me was
It's
honestly...
this or the Hela episode.
Interesting. I think the Hell episode was down there too. I think the low point for me is the finale.
The finale. So, the finale was. I think it was great. I don't think it hit the same level as the rest of the season.
I think
But do still think it's
1602
great.
should have been the finale, but we'll talk about all of that because they are constantly insisting on, like, you know, having a insular storyline between all of these, and for some reason they're insistent on using Captain Carter for that, which
I'm okay with. I think Haley Atwell did a great job.
I'm okay with it. But then when you introduce a significantly cooler to me hero original to your
definitely gonna
show,
make the jump into live action, right? Like,
oh,
that
absolutely,
has to happen.
absolutely.
And
Like-
I can't wait to see how that happens in fucking Secret Wars or something. It's gonna be friggin' nuts, dude.
Like, Kahori is easily the best episode for me of this show.
For me, it's between
Kahori
Kahori
and
and
1602,
1602, but I think Kahori is just from like, it's such a departure from everything else MCU that I think it was really, really well done. I think the collaboration with the Mohawk people in terms of getting it right, which it seems just by and large by the reaction on social media, it did.
Yeah, based off of what I'm seeing from people,
so
it sounds
good.
like they did a very good job of it. I loved it. I think it was simultaneously this really interesting exploration of a very old legend, a very classic, almost overtold legend with the Fountain of Youth. And
Yeah.
then also,
I
a
like the
fantastic-
reimagining of that conquistador story to wrap it into superheroes. Was
yeah,
really neat.
at first I was like, oh, why are we doing conquistadors for this? Like, wouldn't be wanting to do the original settlers or something?
I was gonna
based
say,
off of
historically,
roughly
it
for
doesn't
where it
make
was?
sense.
And
but
then
it
they
is
brought
an
in the
alternate
Fountain
timeline, right?
And then they brought in the Fountain of Youth, and I was like, oh, that
That's
makes
cool.
so much sense. And like, not a single word in that episode, or like, I think maybe the Watcher has some words.
The Watcher has
but-
some dialogue, but it is
but
largely
the rest of it is in
Mohawk
Mohawk
and Conquistador
in
Spanish.
Spanish. Yeah, like it is just, it's so good, it's so clever, it's fucking beautiful. Like everything with her with Kahori's powers, like when she's after the, I guess what were those animals? Were they buffalo? Would they be considered
Giant
buffalo?
rhino, elephant things, the crystal.
Yeah, the crystal beasts, I guess.
Sure.
Like the moment after that whole scene, and she comes back and it's just a shit ton of crystals that she's just like holding with her powers, or when she portals into Queen Isabella's throne room, like every bit of it looked so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, So I know we're going to jump around a little bit, so I apologize for that. When we got that scene in the finale of Captain Carter getting attacked with the homage that it played to Age of Ultron, did you think that was going to be a Quicksilver variant that popped up, or did you immediately clue into it being Kahori?
I clued in
Like
because
my brain went Quicksilver, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be dope. It's gonna be Wanda as Quicksilver or something, and then you're gonna get Aaron Johnson in as the witch or wizard, Scarlet Wizard, and some weird. Like I thought that would be so cool. But then
see,
it's like,
I knew
it's Kahori.
I knew it was Kahori because you saw that little bit of like the residue her powers leave when she runs.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, okay, Kahori. Awesome. Sweet. Great. I also just never expect Quicksilver to pop up ever anymore. So,
like, why not? Come on.
Because he's dead. He got shot.
They did other weird stuff. Maria Hill's in this and a couple of things, probably. She got shot.
Yeah, but no one gave a shit
Spoilers
about
for Secret Invasion that nobody watched. Like, just looking at our metrics.
Yeah, looking at our own. Yeah, ours. Those that might be our worst one yet. National Treasure did better than Secret Invasion.
Because National Treasure is a better show than Secret Invasion.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we should probably go through these like episode by episode so we can like somehow.
We tried and then we immediately got sidetracked.
So we can somehow contain our thoughts on like episode by episode.
Yeah.
We'll go through these, starting at number 1, which is Nebula Blade Runner shit, which is fucking great and fucking hilarious. Fantastic.
Yeah, I still argue that Karen Gillan is one of the best actors we've gotten in the MCU. Just the range that she's had for this character across all appearances has been phenomenal.
She kills it every single time. And but honestly, I think the standout for me in this episode, other than her, she's amazing, is honestly is Howard the Duck. Like
Seth Green, yeah.
Seth Green is great, but like Howard the Duck is actually like this kind of fun character that they really could use to do cool shit. They just don't.
I feel like they will. It's stuff like this where it'll happen, right? Like they'll do fun stuff here where you've got like Howard, Korg, and what was it, Groot?
Yeah, Groot.
Or no, yeah, just kind of chilling.
It was Howard, Korg, Groot, and Meek.
Meek, right? Yeah.
Meek's making sushi.
Meek. Yeah, although Meek comes to Marvel Snap in a couple of weeks, so I shouldn't have forgotten Meek.
I get hyped. Yeah, I really do love this episode. I think the Blade Runner nature of it was super fun. Like getting to see Nebula don the fin and like the jacket, Yondu's jacket and whatnot was so fun.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Serafinowicz has a lot of fun here as well, and I feel like he was underused in the MCU with the fact that his character gets murked in Guardians 1, but like he does such a great job here. He's just such a phenomenal actor.
Mm-hmm. I also think that this is the best use of like season 1 of the show, right? Was very much like, what if we slightly change something about one of the original movies, MCU movies? This felt the closest to one of those, but also the most interesting way of doing about it. Of like, hey, it's a very small little detail on all of this, but like, it's an entirely different story.
Yeah.
Which is like what I really want to see out of What If. I think that's why this season is so much stronger than season 1.
It's droplets turning to ripples, and that's the biggest difference for me between season 1 and 2. Is season 1 was like, what if this was slightly different, making the whole thing slightly different and framed as if it was very close to what we got in the MCU, just slightly different. Whereas this story was entirely original because of that one small change, which I don't feel like we got enough of in season 1, and we got so much of it in season 2. Like the entire season, basically. There's nothing that is adjacent except for maybe the Hela episode.
Yeah. I will say, though, that this season has confirmed it for me. The naming convention for this show sucks. These names for these episodes are terrible.
Yeah.
Like this one is What If Nebula Joined the Nova Corps, which is correct, but it's so much more than that. Moving on, let's go to episode 2, which is What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes. This is the 1988 Avengers episode. Like we mentioned, we totally skipped over Bill Foster, by the way. Bill Foster is part of this group. Bill Foster, King T'Chaka, Bucky Barnes, Dr. Wendy Lawson, Hank Pym, Peggy, Howard, all coming together because Peter ran away from Ego and came back to Earth.
Which they don't frame it that way initially. And I really like that reveal of just like he wanted to go home because he got tired of his dad. So like I had assumed, like, again, this season does a great job of subverting expectations where my assumption is, oh, Ego made the kid bad. So
yeah,
kid coming
totally
to
the
Earth,
vibe.
do Ego things, he's bad. But that wasn't the case. And Hope got through to him and they did their whole thing. And presumably this ends with, in this timeline at least, Hank adopting Peter so that Hope and Peter can kind of build this relationship on the fact that they both lost their parental or their mothers.
Well, it sounds like
I
they
think is
created
really, really
they
sweet.
created that Avengers found family, right? Of
Exactly.
like this team at the end of the episode, this team is going off to go take out Ego.
Yeah, Thor's just like, well, we got to go stop Ego because he destroyed everything. It's like, all right, let's do
Right,
it.
Thor.
Like,
I keep forgetting Thor was in this episode.
Yeah, and Thor is awesome. He's like, oh yeah, Ego just kind of fucking destroyed everything, and Earth is just the next target, which honestly is the level of threat that Ego should have been in the movie.
Yeah, he
and they
could have easily
kind of
been.
got there, but not quite. I feel like in animation, this went as hard as it had to. Of like, yeah, this whole universe is fucked because of Ego, which is perfect.
Well, we saw it a little bit in season 1 with the T'Challa as the Star-Lord stuff
Yeah.
at the very end, right? Where it's like, okay, that's what could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But actually seeing it play out here was so much cooler.
Yeah.
And having it work of like making Peter kind of be the center point of all of it. And it's not Star-Lord, it's just he's a kid. It's really fucking relatable. It's really, really fun. And getting the side story of Howard trying to get through to Bucky, which he does, presume for the most part, or having like, you know, Wendy Lawson pop up, a character that frankly most people don't give a crap about. Captain Marvel,
Including Annette Bening, which is why she didn't come back to, or at least I'm sure there was scheduling reasons
Yeah.
and things like that. But it's just like, oh yeah, that's right, she exists.
yeah, Captain
thought
Marvel
was-
getting a
was
lot
cool.
of getting a lot of representation in this season for some reason, which I'm all here for.
Which just like this show needed more of Brie Larson. I'm disappointed we didn't get more of her. I think we had one episode in season 1 with like the Captain Marvel versus Thor stuff,
Which was
but,
awesome.
It was awesome, and I feel like we needed more of that, just that character, because there's so much snark that could have been brought here that was very clearly missing.
Well, don't worry, we got plenty of snark in episode 3.
Yeah,
Which you got the return of, frankly, a character who has been so underutilized in Marvel and really should be brought back, and that is Justin Hammer. Such a great opportunity to bring that dumb fucking character back.
which honestly, like the villain of a Die Hard-esque scenario, is kind of perfect for Hammer.
Sam Rockwell is so good in that role.
Sam Rockwell's just good into everything.
Like, he plays up that, like, I have to sound smart because I'm an
Yeah.
idiot so well. And I love how it works, like, with him against, like, Happy, who is not smart. Like, Happy is kind of a dumbass, but he's a lovable
yeah.
dumbass, and we love him.
He's our dumbass.
And, like, everything with the actual Avengers popping up, the way they start the episode with the Avengers fighting the Freak. And I'm like, wait, what is happening?
When did we get Purple Hulk? Purple Hulk is new.
Yeah. And for that not to even be like the main point of the episode.
It was pretty neat.
Yeah, everything about it was super fun, very festive. I wish I had watched this before Christmas.
I watched it on Christmas Eve, and it was honestly perfect.
Yeah, this was the Christmas Eve episode.
Normally, Christmas Eve, I watch Die Hard, and I got home from our Christmas Eve plans. I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm like, oh, this is Die Hard, but Marvel. So I'm just going to watch this instead now, because I don't have 2 hours every year.
Yeah,
but I do
I
have
think-
30 minutes.
It was either the 26th or the 27th. I don't remember what day I
I
sat
kept telling
down.
you to catch up, and that was the reason. I didn't want to say anything. I'm just like, you need to watch this as close to the holidays as you can. It's perfect.
Yeah, it really is a great one for that. And like having so many Die Hard references in this was so funny. Like the AI being named Warner.
Warner, and then like just, I mean, at one point they directly just referenced John McClane, which is perfect.
Yeah. I also referenced just a lot of movies in general in this
Also,
one.
just like Happy and Darcy was not a pairing that I thought I needed, but after this episode, I'm like, Kat Dennings needs to be in more of the MCU because my God, she has chemistry with everybody.
Yeah, I would love to see Kat Dennings. I would love to see Darcy. Like, first off, there's a joke in this that is great, which is just Darcy never has a real fucking job. She is always an intern.
Just an intern, yeah.
But also, I would love to see Darcy and Peter Parker. That'd be the most hilarious shit to me. But also, like, just in general, shout out to Ross Marquand, who's the voice of Warner, because he also did like Red Skull and Ultron. Like, the dude
he did
is
Ultron
all
in
over
season
What
one
If.
of What If, and has replaced Hugo Weaving in all appearances of Red Skull since Captain America: The First Avenger.
Which, man, what was the episode where Red Skull popped up in this? Oh, it was
It wasn't in this season. He was in the first season.
I could have sworn Red Skull popped up in an episode, one of the episodes.
He might have, but I don't know if he was voiced. Like I don't know
Oh,
if he had
yeah,
a
yeah,
line.
he wasn't voiced. I think it was 1602 is where I saw him pop up.
Well, there's a reference to Red Skull in the finale, right?
But like Red Skull
it-
made an appearance. He just didn't say
Yeah.
anything. And I could have sworn it was in 1602.
It might have been 1602. It may have also just been the finale in the chamber when all the chaos happens. We'll get there.
Yeah. Oh, he was definitely there too. I think there was another one.
Another, yeah, I might have. It might have been a blink and you missed it moment because I don't remember it, but I'm sure
It was
did
one of
happen.
those things where my brain was like just clocked it. It was like, oh, why is Red Skull here? Yeah, this episode was great. Very fun for the holidays. I also just want to quickly shout out Josh Keaton because Josh Keaton's in this episode. That's all.
I mean, this whole season he kills it as Steve.
Yeah.
1602 especially is just it
Look,
tugs at your heartstrings.
I need to shout out Josh Keaton whenever I have the opportunity to do so.
As is your right as a podcaster.
There are two voices that this man knows how to do very well, and those are superhero voices, and really that's it. He does so many superhero voices.
I was going to say basically give him Steve Rogers or Spider-Man. And we're
Steve
good.
Rogers, he's just Steve Rogers. He's done Spider-Man. I think he's done Iron Man at one point.
I think he did Iron Man and Armored Adventures.
Yeah, he did Hal Jordan. He did Steve Trevor. He did Barry Allen and Wally West versions of the Flash. Like, the dude is all over the place when it comes to superheroes, and more power to him. He's fantastic. He's the best. I love him.
And he was in Pokemon Concierge.
Yeah, that just came out.
Also something I need to watch.
I thought you canceled your Netflix.
I did. I'll find a way to watch it.
Fair enough. Let's move on to episode number 4.
Oh, he did Iron Man and Midnight Suns.
Knew it was something like that. Next up, episode 4. What if Iron Man crashed into the Grand Master? This was the episode from season 1 that we were supposed to get, but ended up getting pushed to this one. I liked how they reworked the intro of this one. It's like, hey,
I'm like, hey, remember this?
yeah, remember this weird random character that popped up at the end of the last season?
Josh Keaton also did Iron Man and Iron Man VR, the video game.
Yeah, that was a good
I'm
game.
now just scrolling through his IMDb. He did Ant-Man and Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yeah, dude, I wasn't kidding. This man has
And
voiced
Avengers Assemble.
This man has voiced so many superheroes.
He did Electro in the Spider-Man video game.
And like Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah. Spider-Man 2018. I should stop, or I'm just
really
going to keep
should.
going. Yeah.
Anyways, Iron Man, Grandmaster, Sakaar. Thoughts?
Eh.
I like the racing.
This was
stuff.
the one where I was like, all right, I probably didn't need this. It's fine.
I like the speed racer shit.
Yeah, but it's just like,
This felt like
I don't
an
know.
excuse for them to make a speed racer episode.
it was just, it was pod racing, but Marvel.
I like the racing stuff. The rest of it, yeah. I
That's fine.
struggle to ever care about Tony Stark.
It's difficult to in this situation of just like, well, okay.
I feel like we took
whatever.
out because this is Tony Stark like before he learned, right?
To
Like,
not be a dick.
yeah, like he learns to not be a dick in Avengers.
I was gonna say more so Iron Man 3 because this is Avengers Tony Stark, right? Because it's
It's the very end, but like he learns it after coming to grips with the fact that he almost died and whatnot, and he just never
the
gets
PTSD
that.
shapes him as a character. I don't feel like there was enough like knowing where the character is going for this to be what followed that PTSD inducing episode didn't seem right by the
This
character.
feels like more like the comic books and whatnot, Tony Stark.
This feels more like a
is
side quest to
just-
get him to Iron Man 3.
Exactly. And it's like, this is the Tony Stark that I don't like. I'm sorry, Tony fans. I can't get behind this character. That said, Valkyrie's always great. Tessa Thompson is the best. And as always, shout out to Jeff Goldblum for being Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he just is who he is.
Moving right along. Next up, we got what if Captain Carter fought
Carter.
the Carter? What if Captain
Carter.
Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? Fun episode. I love the mixing. Like, we got a couple of these episodes, right, that like mixed a couple of movies together.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. I like the idea of it not being, the Soviets, but being the Red Room that got to Steve. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and it being the sacrifice at the end, I really like that he's not able to leave the suit. Like, the suit is what's keeping him alive. If he leaves the suit, he will die instantly.
Also, they leave that open-ended of she's got to find Steve. And I do imagine that we're going to get a finale to this as part of a trilogy, like one episode per season, where they will get their happy ending in that universe. Like, I don't think you put such an emphasis on Captain Carter throughout the series to not have her have the moment at the end of What If to mirror the moment that Steve has at the end of Endgame. Like, it just makes sense to, whether it's the Steve in that universe or the Watcher puts that Captain Carter or puts Peggy into a universe where she can be with Steve. Like, it does seem like after she is a 3-time multiverse saver that it's only fair.
I can see that. I could also see him going a route like Exiles, which
Yeah.
is a little bit of a weird comic pull for me. But it was this group of multiversal heroes that kind of bebop her in the universe, saving dying universes, which is kind of where I thought the finale of this episode or this season was going to go, but alas.
It was until it wasn't.
It was until it wasn't, and then until it was again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a fun one. I think Black Widow is the MVP of this episode. I still don't love Captain Carter personally, but like
I feel like there's more depth to this character than we got to Steve in the MCU, so that's what I kind of like. And I think it's probably just coming from Haley Atwell's ability to embody the role in the way she does.
That's fair. Yeah, my issues with Captain Carter come fundamentally down to how they did Peggy in the original Captain America movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially with like how they adapted this particular character originally in comic lore being a Nazi and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I don't love this, but we're intent on keeping it. So she doesn't pop up all that much for me to ever really hate it. But yeah, I think this one's really fun. I love everything with the Red Room in this one. I love the cliffhanger as well of her getting portaled away. Us getting a cliffhanger this early on, I think, was a really good way of doing it. Of like, hey, what could possibly be happening? Well, you're not going to find out for 3 episodes.
Which is fine because we only had to wait 3 days and not 3 weeks.
Yeah. Also, I do want the last thing I want to shout out is just the opening segment of this one of like the other like small reverberations in this one of like the Avengers team being different, the Avengers team having the Wasp, which
that was
means a lot of different things of like bringing it back to more of the original, what it was originally the comic book Avengers and whatnot. Like, very fun stuff, very unique. Next, we have the best episode though. What if Kahori reshaped the world?
I don't even think we should talk about it. Just go watch this.
Just go watch this one. Yeah,
if
it really is
watched
the
it-
best.
Yeah, if you watched this to this point, the only thing I can say, just watch it again.
Yeah, it's creative. It's funny as all hell. It's poignant. It's everything you could want out of like a 35-minute TV show.
This is a better take on the narrative plot lines of Pocahontas than another highly touted
Cough, cough,
Disney
Avatar.
property involving blue people.
Avatar.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
I'm not. Fuck Avatar.
Exactly. This is leaps and bounds, but no one's going to talk about this in the same breath as Avatar except me, because I will, because Avatar is not great, and this is a great this version of this story, I think, is really well done. It does draw parallels to those stories because it is a very similar idea of, foreign invaders, net resources, all that stuff. In this case, the resource being the mystical fountain of youth.
Yeah, there are a couple
but-
things I want to shout out from this episode, particularly the voice actor, Devery Jacobs. You might know her from stuff like Rhymes for Young Ghouls or Reservation Dogs. She is fantastic. Just for you, Mitch, she is Canadian.
Yeah, she is. So a lot of the actors that you see in most Western media when it comes to representing Native American culture are Canadian.
And
A lot of the
interestingly-
productions actually come out of Canada because we have a lot of investment in the film and television industry that is tied to developing Canadian content specifically. So a lot of those take place in the middle of the Arctic things are,
Yeah.
largely Canadian productions, which is a lot of fun.
But Devery Jacobs will also be in Echo. So,
Which they say that she's not playing the same character. Until I watch that show, I'm calling bullshit.
her character has an entirely different name. So,
And
fair enough.
Kahori is also a character that existed in the Conquistador times. So multiverse craziness can make that just give me a
Yeah.
post-credit scene of the two of them standing together, or it is her and she awakens her ability or something in the MCU universe, Earth. Just do it. Do it.
Yeah, they did that great stuff. They do a good job of, most of the casting. I think it's I try to figure out who was Adorak's voice actor. Because I think it's Jeremy White,
It is Jeremy White.
which feels a little off, but also that man's killing it right now. I like seeing, native actors play native roles and whatnot. And yada, yada, yada. We've said this so many times now.
So Jeremy White is not Jeremy Allen White, for what it's worth.
I was bringing up Jeremy Allen White. Which
Yeah,
one's Jeremy White? Who's Jeremy White then?
It doesn't look like he's done much else. Looks like he has a podcast.
Okay, cool. As long as he's not also. Oh, this guy. Okay. In that case, I feel
And
better.
I don't know who he is. Maybe he has Native American ancestry. It does look,
he
based
does,
on his
he
IMDb,
does.
he does. So
Yeah, he does. Okay, I feel much
Good.
better now. I did not realize that was not Jeremy Allen White when I just read Jeremy White.
if it had said, if it was Jeremy Allen White, it would say Jeremy Allen White,
Allen
and
White.
Wikipedia would have a link to Jeremy Allen White, and not what it has. Which
Look,
is
man,
nothing.
we are recording this on January 1st.
I'm so tired.
You're
New
dead.
Year's was a time.
So yeah, ignore the last 5 minutes. Let's talk about what if Hela found the 10 rings.
I do feel like these two episodes should have been switched in their order. I do think Hela should have come before Kahori, because I feel like ending the season on Kahori into 1602 into the finale would have been really, really strong.
Yeah, I can see
I feel
that.
like this episode pulled me out of the flow of the season.
I forgot the damn cliffhanger at the end of the Kahori episode of Strange Supreme.
Strange Supreme shows up. Yeah.
I totally thought that was going to be connected to the 1602 stuff when that
And
happened.
it was eventually.
It was, but also it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if Hela found the 10 rings? This episode was fine. I enjoyed it for the most part. I love seeing
It's the
Talos.
story of Thor, but it's Hela and Wenwu instead of Thor and Jane Foster. Which for me,
that
it
was-
didn't feel like enough of a it was interesting visually, but it didn't feel like enough of a departure of what was done in the MCU for me to really vibe with it.
Yeah, I like seeing Talo, and I love seeing more of that. And I especially liked seeing more of Jiayi, Shang-Chi's mom.
Jia Ying.
Jiayi. Sorry, I can't say things.
It's been a long time since I watched that. I could also be wrong.
However it's pronounced,
just
we're
sounded
just
right.
fucking idiots. Yeah, I love seeing more of her. I love seeing more of Talo. Like, legitimately, it might be one of my favorite locations of, like, mysterious secret organization in the MCU, because there's, like, 3,000 of them now. It was fun seeing the Ten Rings compound and whatnot. Like, yeah, it was very much still just Thor, but I thought at least the action was fun for this one. So goddamn smooth. And also giving a big old fuck you to Odin is always appreciated.
I mean, getting like the goddess of life stuff was really neat at the end of like her having to like coming to that realization, like becoming worthy again was neat. And I thought was really interesting looking compared to what we got in Thor, but ultimately it felt like a very same kind of plot.
Yeah, it's fine. I think the only reason that I don't have it higher is because of how similar that plot is. It definitely feels like one of the earlier written episodes before some of the more wacky stuff, which is the best stuff.
Feels like it could have been written for season 1 and pushed to season 2 just as an idea, even if it wasn't in production similarly to the Grandmaster Iron Man episode.
Yeah. Let's jump into one of the best episodes now, which is What If the Avengers Assembled in 1602?
Give me this as a full show, god damn it. We're getting zombies. Zombies sucked. 1602 was so good.
Dude, can you imagine if like one of the best fantasy things we got right now? Because like fantasy stuff coming out right now is really hit or miss. Can you imagine if one of the best fantasy things we got right now was a fucking Marvel show?
I also like, I could see them doing it just based on fan reaction. But if you wanted to, like, I don't know how they're going to do Marvel Zombies with the way that episode ended. If it's just going to be other characters in the same world or if it's a different world that's also zombies. But like with the way that this ends, this episode specifically, you can't really do a continuation of the 1602 story because there is nothing left in 1602. The universe is dead. So.
Yeah, they mentioned they did have a little bit. The Zombies show does have a main character, which I think is very interesting. I'm just quickly making sure this.
I do remember Shang-Chi in the key art, but I don't remember who the main character was.
Well, the main character. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure I had this right. The main character is Miss Marvel.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, having those, it does seem like more of a continuation on that stuff. We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting. I think 1602, though, could lead to more stuff. Like, I love fantasy. I'm very much on a fantasy thing right now. Just in terms of everything I watch, listen, and read to. Like, I loved so much about this. I loved Wanda Merlin in this. Like,
yeah, Wanda Merlin was neat.
Wanda Merlin was great. Sir Harold Hogan. Oh, sorry. Harold the Happy Hogan. Who turns into the Freak again for some reason. Great. The Time Stone as Thor's scepter. Loki being a real shitty actor. Like, everything was so fun about this episode. And this is the kind of stuff that I wish the show did more of. Like, give us this fun, unique universes that are entirely, every way, shape, and form, different from other stuff. And keep going. Like, everything with, like, the Forerunner was, like, really, really fun. And I want to see more of this. Rogers Hood, Bucky, Scott Lang just absolutely being the most Scott Lang you could possibly be.
It's just Paul Rudd, but in 1602, which is all you really need out of Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm. Well, he literally says cheerio at one point, and I'm like, yep, that's perfect. No notes.
Nope.
The treehouse was also super cool. I just want to shout that out. This episode was it was fun. Oh yeah, Bruce popping up, and like his mask being the original Iron Man mask, and like
the man in the Iron Mask, I thought was really fun.
Mm-hmm. I love that everyone's like, yeah, Tony is a mad scientist.
He would be if he didn't have modern science, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish that I like the anomaly stuff. I think it's interesting, and it definitely is a good reason for keeping Captain Carter there. And Captain Carter's story amongst all of this is at least a little interesting after she just lost Steve once and now has to do it again. Like, that is interesting. I like that the anomaly stuff keeps her there, and I think that is kind of a setup for what we might see more of going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. This woman out of time and space, like this woman out of space-time, similar to how Steve in the MCU is a man out of time, I think is a really interesting place to put this character. And it'll, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see that character's arc wrap up in season 3, assuming that they had the foresight and wherewithal to do so, which, given how well season 2 was treated, I would hope that season 3 gets the same kind of treatment.
I think it's the same
you
kind of
never know
treatment,
with a
but I don't
change
think
in
it's
show
wrapping
running.
her story up. I think Captain Carter, I think they've kind of made Captain Carter this like mascot of the multiverse, so to speak, because it's very easy to be like, oh, that is very clearly an alternate universe Captain America. Like, it is very easy to tell that out, show that out.
So I was clicking through IMDb for some fun facts and was off. Like, I had the awful realization that and was reminded that the Madam Web movie is still happening and coming out, and it's coming out this calendar year.
I'm weirdly looking forward to this movie. It's not going to be
I
good,
hate
but
you.
I'm so
It's
excited.
going to be awful. Spider-Man is my favorite character in fiction, and to see what they're doing with character, I just hate seeing what Sony's doing with the character.
I know.
Or with
I
the
think it's gonna.
universe.
I think it's gonna be bad, but I'm looking forward to it. Weirdly enough. Also, I just saw the trailer again today at the theater. So, but yeah, Avengers Assembled in 1602 is probably gonna be one of those episodes I go back to for this show. It legitimately is.
It's great.
It's an all-time
just a
great.
fun time. Yeah.
And then we have our finale. What if Strange Supreme intervened?
I like this. It didn't feel like it had the same weight as the finale season 1.
It felt
just having
like-
it be this Kahori Captain Carter team up. I did think they did some cool stuff of like, here's everyone's shit. Just use it and be dope with it. And it was like,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it's fun. It's a little weird seeing Hela's helmet on her, but like the rest of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for. Whatnot. We have enough little like fun Easter eggs and stuff that they can expand on into different universes later on. I do think it's fun. I do think it ends very well. I really like the ending of it.
Yeah.
Of, you know, hey, let's give everybody a little bit more of a positive ending than what this normally would be. I don't love the Strange popping up again though in this way. I think we got bits and fun pieces here. But like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like, it feels like a massive jump for me of, I'm going to murder all of these people to save my world again. After I just went through this whole thing about how I shouldn't do that, I'm gonna just do it anyways.
I get it with the way that season 1 ends with him in isolation. The only, like, if you lose everything, the only thing that you're going to focus on, like if he has nothing else, is how to get that back. And I think the tragedy of the only way for that universe to be restored was his death, and the inability for him to be born into that universe. I think it's a great way to end the arc of that character, because there was no redeeming this version of Doctor Strange, because he was so far off the deep end that yes, he helped save the multiverse, but ultimately in doing so didn't save his universe. And with everything that he went through, the hundreds of years of training and all this stuff, trying to save his world, there was no redemption for this version of Strange.
See, I never thought there
I
was.
liked it.
I liked the ending that we had for season 1 of, there is no redemption, so he is doomed now to sit in that loss, stay in that loss, and have to watch over this other situation with Killmonger, Ultron / Infinity Stones, right? Like, I get why they do it. I think it does like logically make sense. It's just not my favorite jump for it. I think they wanted to try to make a finale though that had that same kick as last season, and it just doesn't.
No.
That's why I was really hoping that they would go with this whole anomaly thing with 1602 as the finale. I think this whole idea of dancing around to different universes, having to save dying universes, could be a really interesting take if they want to have that more singular story within What If. I don't think that singular story should be in What If. I like this more, hey, what's happening here? Hey, what's happening here? Hey, what's happening here? Anthology style. But
I wonder if that's what we'll get from season 3, because the end of this of being like, just show me the multiverse, could just be them jumping universe to universe trying to keep it alive.
and then seeing the tree. Seeing
Oh, dude.
Loki's tree
Oh,
at the
seeing
end.
Loki. Oh, my God. Like that was perfect. Just like, oh, shit's going down.
Yeah, I'm very excited for season 2, or season 3, which I did not think I would be saying after the
No,
show.
like I said, I think in terms of Marvel television, there isn't much that can beat Jessica Jones season 1 or Daredevil season 1 for me. This is like top 3.
This is
Any day of the
definitely
week
up there.
it can flip, but like those 3 are like I put this in that upper echelon of Marvel television. It's that damn good.
See, it's close for me. There's still stuff I like more. I don't think anything will ever beat season 1 of Jessica Jones. Like that is on a
David
whole
Tennant
another
is just
level.
too goddamn good.
And I have stuff like I still personally fucking love Hawkeye.
Hawkeye is also
Like,
great. Yeah.
I don't see this ever beating that, but it is definitely great television. It is worth the sit down and watch. I love that for the most part, most of these episodes are, I can just turn this on. Why not? I can jump around here and there and whatnot. With the exception of the finale. Like, you can sit down and watch anything. There is no prior knowledge you need for any of these. You can sit down, get all the information you need, have a good time. I think this series still has the same issue that the original comic books had, where I think it takes them a little bit too much time to flesh out some of these worlds before getting into the actual story of it. But I think that's less an issue with the show and more of just one of those issues when you have this kind of show, where we can have infinite universes.
Yeah, you can really tell any stories you want, and I really hope with season 3, presumably being the end of the show, that they go off the rails even more so than they did with season 2.
Did they say season 3 was going to be the end of the show? Or are we just assuming that? Because like I don't
I
remember
think I'm just
hearing anything about that.
assuming it, but
Because like I could see it happening, but also for what it's worth, that Red Guardian episode was supposed to be a season 2 episode.
yes.
Just so that we have that confirmation there. Looking through if there's anything else we need to talk about. Because yeah, I mean, if season 3 is the end of it, I would hope that it gets like a proper ending. But I can honestly see this show going for a little while. It's much easier to do animation than it is to do animated superhero stuff than it is to do it in live action. Like, you can get these people who have, retired from these roles and just be like, hey, we don't need you to ridiculously work out for this role. You can just come into a voice booth and record some lines. Like, I do think that it is possible here.
Yeah, I don't want, like, it is, but I also don't know, like, I know there's an infinite number of stories that can be told, but eventually we'll just get to a point where, like, okay, there isn't enough originality to it. Like, you can only do so much to push this envelope, or in the case of this, like, having this through line of Strange Supreme and Captain Carter, like, unless you're going to find another way to do something, I don't want to see this drag on too long.
I will say,
it's one
I
of those
need
things where it's great in small doses, but I think if they went on for like 7 or 8 seasons, this would end up being one of those things of just like, why did it carry on so long?
I do have the massive caveat of I think they can continue the show into infinitum, assuming the stories they tell don't get stale. And I do think that there is enough there, because we're doing about 9 episodes a season.
Yeah.
I do think that there's enough stories there, even in just the base MCU, to do another 3-4 seasons of this.
We'll see.
Like, everyone
shall see.
has their, like, they've announced season 3, and everyone was throwing out, like, oh, I would love to see this. I would love to see this. Like, personally, would still love to see the what if Wanda watched musicals instead of sitcoms. Just saying. Come on, guys. It's super easy. It sets itself up. But, like, I do
We'll just
think
have to
the
wait and see
possibility
if we get a season 4 plus announcement.
I think also everything kind of just depends on where Marvel goes next. Marvel's in a massive state of flux right now, so
A bit of a funk. I feel like this, at least for me, pulled me out of a bit of the funk I was feeling for the MCU. We'll see if X-Men 97 and Spider-Man Freshman Year can continue to pull us out of that funk.
And hopefully
From an
Marvel's,
animation perspective.
Hopefully Marvel Zombies does great too. Do we know when they were saying Marvel Zombies show was going to come out?
No.
Because I could have sworn Zombies was 2024.
It might be, but the thing is with animation, like, what if season 2 is supposed to be early 2023?
Well, Marvel Zombies is also like 4 episodes. It is a miniseries.
Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I have
then,
my
yeah,
own
I can see that
concerns.
happening this year.
Particularly it being written by Zeb Wells, but creator of your new favorite comic book character, Mitch. So
He's not, just for what it's worth.
Mitch loves rec rap.
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, that's the episode, folks. Watch What If Season 2. Watch it. It's really
Let us
damn
know what
good.
let us know. Yeah, we got comments on the YouTubes and the Twitters and the X and the Instas.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
It's a weird episode. We're real tired. It's the new year. We'll be going back into new things as they
Percy
come.
Jackson. Wee.
Our next episode, assuming timing is all correct, quickly checks.
We're doing Treasure Planet next.
Our
Or
next
Echo?
episode will be Echo.
Cool.
So we will get that out for y'all, and then after that we'll do Treasure Planet, Mitch, because I need you to watch this
Alrighty.
movie, because it's so good.
Okay.
It's such a good movie. It really is.
We'll see.
This isn't like me telling you that Camp Rock was a great movie, only to have my like childhood shattered. This is actually a good movie.
All right, we'll see. I'll be the judge of that.
So yeah, keep an eye out for us, folks. Keep an eye out for all of our other stuff. And until next time, have a magical day.
Excelsior.